Good morning everyone and welcome to my channel. In today's episode I want to show you how I will be dismantling the interior of the cab in a Case Magnum 7210 tractor. The interior there is very worn out. The plan is to restore everything simply to improve the comfort of working with this tractor. So in a moment I'll be heading to the workshop. I'll show everything step by step, how I take it apart and what it looks like. So I invite you to watch here. As you know, the cab is cramped, there's not much space in these cabs, so I'll start here by removing the seat first of all. First, just to have more space here. My plan is simply to remove all the upholstery. Everything is possible really, and I'll show step by step how it all looks, how to disconnect everything, how to unscrew it, so let's get started. I'm taking out the seat first. The seat is held in place by 4 bolts here, so that's not a problem. The bolts there use a size 13 wrench, so let's unscrew them. Alright, the seat. I've already managed to take it out. Take a look at how everything here is damaged. As you can see, it's dirty, everything is torn. As you can see right here, this entire panel, the whole unit is completely broken. Everything in this area is severely damaged. Now, I'm going to start the process by carefully unscrewing this protective cover right here. Next, we'll unscrew this and this here. This is held here by this screw. There's a screw here, and here are some clips. We just need to unscrew this screw and slide it out so we can pop it out of the clips. And then this shelf comes off. Here, as you can see, I've already removed these sides. Like I said, here by the screw there are 2 clips. So you just need to pry it up a bit so it comes out. Then this shelf here comes out easily. And here there's also a clip here, as you can see, and here there was also a screw. It was mounted here. And at the front it's also held by a screw. It's already removed. Take a look, everything is dirty, dusty and rusty. Alright, moving on. Now I'll take off this side panel here. To remove it you have to bend it down a bit so it's lower and it should come out from under the panel. Now we lift it up. Sometimes there's also a screw at the bottom holding it from underneath. Not always, but sometimes there is. And sometimes in the middle, depending on how it was done. And here are I'll pull it out in a moment, take a look. And this is what it looks like here. Here are the knobs for adjusting the oil flow for the external hydraulics. Here we can see the cables going to the controls for the hydraulics, for the control system. And here is the entire controller. This is where the lift controller is located. I'll pull out this side panel in a moment. Yes, it comes out completely. And here we already have... Oh wow, take a look at this. This is exactly what the setup looks like at this moment. As you can see, the side panel has already been completely removed from the chassis. Here's the controller, the entire lift control module. Here are the wires for the lift potentiometers. Here as well. I'll disconnect all of this and take it out. Now this whole upper panel. And this is what the back looks like. All of this will be made from new foam and new material, from new leather. Damn, I knelt right on that sharp pin. And now it really stings quite badly. To remove this panel you see here, the one I'm showing well from underneath, it's fastened with a screw. Here it's already torn out, it was modified from the top, but originally there's a screw here at the bottom. And here underneath there are 2 screws that you can't see, here and a little further over here. So we need to unscrew this side panel. The side panel, the front part. We unscrew the front part. And underneath this panel is also attached with 2 screws. And the side panel, we only unscrew it here. Probably only up here. Up here is the control. There's also a spot, and here is the mounting for this. And then we remove the front part. Here everything is already torn apart. It's not screwed together as it should be. Alright, I'm moving on. Alright, the panel. I managed to take it off. As you can see, like I said, it's screwed in here and also screwed in at this spot. And at the front, it's screwed in with these 2 screws from the bottom here. We need to remember that. And here, originally, there should also be a screw with a thread, a nut with a cast thread, just like here. It's just that here it's broken off and it was screwed in like this so it wouldn't rattle. And I've unplugged the connectors, as you can see. Take a look. This one here is for engaging the shaft, probably for the drive or maybe for the lock. And here it's best to mark them because you could mix them up. Although I already know here that the lengths are different, that the one closer has a shorter wire. It's the same here with the potentiometers for the lift. There's a shorter wire, so it goes together with this one. And here, this goes together with that, and that's how it is. So this one goes here and that one there, that's it. I already more or less know all this here because I've taken these apart a few times, so I don't need to mark anything. But if someone is doing this for the first time, it's better to label everything. And you'll be more confident that way, although here there aren't too many ways to mix things up. Okay, now let's see what I can take out. Now there's not much left of this panel for me to remove. We'll also take out the computer, the control module, so we can clean it up nicely. Everything nice and neat. Alright, let's keep going. So here, when it comes to these indicator lights and switches, we can do it like this because they're on a kind of latch. It just bends, so you need to gently pry it up from below and then we can pull it out. Here I labeled these wires so it'll be easier for me with these indicators so I don't mix them up. I'm just going to unplug all of this now, and then I'll be able to remove the next panel. It was mounted here with this one screw. It was screwed in at this spot. And at the front, nothing was holding it. I just need to disconnect the socket. There we have a 3-volt power supply connected to the machines. And I'll take care of that. I'll disconnect it and then we can take it out. So this is what it looks like after disassembly. Take a look here. All of this will need to be cleaned up a bit. We'll freshen it up. And the plan is that I'll cover all these metal surfaces with bitumen mat to dampen the sound. Here, as you can see, and this wiring harness, it goes right here. There are also some additional ones here. Factory soundproofing these foam pieces. I'll show you in a moment what it looks like. Everything is stuffed into gaps wherever there's more space, just to dampen the sound a bit. Here's one. This one here is glued on, so let's leave it for now. And that's how it all looks. You'll always find something here, some screws lying around, something that fell earlier. I didn't mention this before, but it's best to disconnect it as well. The battery here, before taking all this apart so that nothing happens. Cables here were replaced earlier when the cab was already removed, so here we have all new cables installed. The gear cables are also new, and just look at how simple this mechanism is, how it works. If we want to go backward or forward, this cable here operates. We pull it towards ourselves. We engage forward drive. We push it away from ourselves. As we can see, we engage reverse drive. Now then, we pull it towards ourselves and forward. Look at this cable. The gear ratios from 1 to 18 are changed with it, and that's simply all there is to it. The control is done by a distributor on 2 cables for the entire gearbox. Here, this cable is for the hand throttle, as we can see. Here. Oh, this is forward and reverse drive, which I showed earlier. Alright. And it's a simple thing. There's nothing complicated that could break on us. Alright, now I'll get to it. I'll take it apart. Maybe here I'll stick these. Everything here is attached with double-sided tape. So you'll need to gently pry it up here with something flat and gradually peel off this plastic, and here I'll also unscrew the bracket for mounting the windshield. I need to unscrew this bracket, which was custom made for the computers. The one that holds the computers will also be painted. I'll unscrew it in a moment, and then I'll work on shading these pillars, and after that the front. We'll take apart the whole corner. We'll remove the gauge cluster, take out the steering wheel, and pull out all the plastic parts here. At the front, I've already managed to peel it off. The pillar upholstery. Look, it's all held on with this kind of double-sided tape. I've managed to get this part off too. It's just double-sided tape, and that's all there is to it. That's how it's held in place. So you have to gently pry it up, and then the whole thing comes off nicely. Later, all of this will need to be cleaned up the tape before installing the new upholstery. Alright, now take a look here. The handles had to be unscrewed from here, from the seam. And this will also need to be peeled off here. And the front pillars are still holding on. There's a screw here. And here. And this should also come off nicely. Now I'm going to install the steering wheel. All these side panels here, the instrument cluster. At the end I'll take down the headliner. Here I wanted to remove the front pillar, but I have to take off this part under the headliner first, and only then this one. I'll be removing all of the structural pillars, because these pillars actually go way under the panel. What? To take out the seatbelt, you had to do it like this here. Look, this rubber was stretched over the nut here. And now I'll unscrew the nut there with a hook wrench, and it comes off, but it goes fairly loosely. And there are these bushings there. For example, if there's a lot of play in the steering wheel, you need to replace these plastic bushings and everything will be fine. And now I'll take out the entire steering wheel along with the universal joint that goes into the orbit roll. I'll show you in a moment what it looks like. Here we've disconnected the ball joint. I managed to pull out the steering wheel, but the universal joint stayed with the orbital. I got confused. Here, as you can see, the universal joint fits into this notch. And here are these plastic Teflon bushings. And if there's a lot of play in the steering wheel, we simply replace these two here. And then there are two more here. We put on new ones and everything is fine. I've already removed the side panel, so here there's a screw on the side and two here, and the whole panel is unscrewed. You need to remove the wire connectors. Here we have the turn signal relay in this spot, which is attached. It's a different one now, it was replaced. Here we also unplug the connectors, and as you can see, here's the wiring. Now I'll unscrew the top. I'm unscrewing the top here from the side. Yes. Here, and I don't know, maybe here too. This needs to be unscrewed here as well, and the whole top, the entire panel will come off. Next I'll remove the speedometer. Look, there was some rag lying here, some papers too, something from before, a work card. Oh. What a rag. Alright, yes, the speedometer is already removed. The top is out here. Look, here everything is lined with some kind of soundproofing foam, all installed. Here, disconnecting the speedometer is very simple. Here, two plugs and we can take out the whole speedometer. Listen, if you have a problem with the speedometer backlight not working, for example here on these indicators or here on these, you just need to take it apart. The speedometer in this spot, unscrew it here, and there are little bulbs inside that you can replace, and the backlighting will simply come back. Here I'll have to do this too, because not all the backlights are working, but when I'm already taking it apart, I replace all the little bulbs, since it's not a big expense. And as you know, after some time, another one might burn out soon anyway. The next little bulbs. Little bulb. Now I'm unplugging this. There. And that's the whole switch removed. Alright, now I'll take these loose parts, get them out of the cabin for a bit because it's getting cramped in here. And then I'll come back, I'll dismantle this whole panel here, and then I'll get started on the top part. I've already taken off the panel, this is what it looks like. I've got it here on the side. Yes, I unscrewed the light switch, I'll just leave it here for now. The ignition switch has also been unscrewed, it stays here. And I had to unplug the connector from the turn signal switch. And look here, there's also a soundproofing mat. And this will be nicely cleaned. All the dust and everything will be removed. And then this mat will go back in here, just as it was. Look here, these are the brake light sensors. Here's one and the other one by the pedal, right? So when we press it, it activates the brake light. The side panel is lying here, I'll take it away in a moment. So, what's next? Now I'm going to work on the top. I've taken everything off here. I'll carry out what's lying in the cab, and then I'll remove the top, and soon the cab will be completely disassembled. And then everything will need to be cleaned. This soundproofing foam I showed earlier, it's attached here. It's held on these pegs. You have to unclip them, and there's another peg over there that needs to be unclipped as well. And look, all of this comes from below. There's also this little piece, a plastic cover with a screw. We unscrew that and then we can pull it out. The whole soundproofing. And look here, this steering wheel cover, the rubber, is actually in pretty good condition. I'll tell you, in the other ones it's all torn, but here we just need to clean it up nicely and it'll look great. Alright, let's keep going. So I'm taking everything out of here, carrying it away, and then we'll take a look at the top. Now I'm taking down the headliner. I had to unscrew this panel to remove the headliner. Here these lower screws are longer, which go into the casing up there and hold the headliner in place. Additionally, now I have to unplug and unscrew everything here to take off this panel. I'll disconnect the switches. Next I have to unscrew here. There are 2 bolts with a wrench, probably size 11, with an angle bracket which holds the headliner. And additionally, I still have to unscrew here. On this side, outside the cabin, there are also screws for a Phillips screwdriver. I have to unscrew them. The headliner is also held here. There are also some clips inside. I'll have to put my hand in there. And there are clips that simply hold the headliner together with this panel. Once I remove the headliner, then I'll continue taking off the panel. So I'll keep going. Here, I've already taken out the panel. The switches have been disconnected. Here, look. I unscrewed this bracket, which holds the entire headliner. That's what it looks like. That has been unscrewed, and then this bracket here with these crosshead screws was also unscrewed with a Phillips screwdriver. I'll take it out in a moment, look, and this also holds the headliner in place. You would also need to remove this here, which is the air intake duct. All these grills had to be removed in order to take down the headliner, and now I'm going to try to lower it. I just need to be careful here because there are these clips. I'll show you in a moment what it looks like before removing them. You actually have to remove these clips, something like this. This is what it looks like, and it fits in here. It simply holds and fastens this panel to the headliner, and it just snaps in. There are 4 of these pieces here. You just need to remove them. Before disassembly, the headliner is already removed, as you can see. Look, it's right here in front of me. The speakers also had to be unplugged. Later, when I was lowering it, I had to disconnect the speakers. And those clips I showed you, they go right here, in these spots. Right here. And they also support the headliner together with this panel in 4 places. Yes, that's how everything looks here. From the inside, take a look. Probably the cleanest place in this tractor. Now, what do I see here? So now this whole panel here needs to be unscrewed. All these screws, remove the radio. Here as well, it's also mounted here. I'll remember that, and there too. They're there in 3 places. So I take that out, remove the side pillars, and then everything will be taken out. And as we can see, the top is already disassembled, the panel is off. So it was held here, it was held in place by 3 screws, self-tapping ones. And here, just as I showed earlier, you had to unscrew them one by one. Then of course you also had to disconnect the radio and the antenna. Here the night lighting is also disconnected. Here I see a crack, so that will need to be welded. Let me tell you why this crack happened, because I noticed it and I've fixed it on every one so far. On the Magnum, this housing here, as we can see, the roof is riveted to this frame. And if the tractor, for example, was used a lot for transport or driven over potholes, then these rivets simply loosen up and it becomes loose relative to the frame. That's why I always additionally bolt it from the top now. I use strong self-tapping screws for all of this as well, so that it presses everything down nicely. Because those rivets are loose and it moves around, and I suspect that's also why it might have cracked here. And of course when that happens, everything creaks in the cab as it moves around here. Alright, I'm taking this out. I'm removing this panel from the cab, and I'm dismantling these pillars. This one and that one. And basically we'll only have one more thing left to take off. We just have to remove this side panel, and then the cab will be completely disassembled. I still have this side panel left to take off. Now the whole cab is disassembled, as you can see. As for the upholstery, everything has been removed. The pillars, the panels. Alright, now this side panel, let's take it off. I think it's only held in place like this here. You need to unscrew this strip on the side here. So the side strip is unscrewed and the side panel is already detached. It was also, look here, attached with double-sided tape, stuck on. There's dust everywhere, everything is dirty. All of this will be nicely cleaned up. Here, I'll just reuse this plastic part. There will be new foam put in and new leather here as well. For now, I'm throwing it away. And here, take a look at how everything looks. Here, this cabinet will need to be cleaned up a bit. There's rust here, so maybe I'll touch it up a little so it doesn't keep corroding. Later, we'll cover everything with soundproofing mat. Here, in this spot, the wires for the lift come out. There's also a connector down there at the bottom. And here is the biggest problem. I've got a problem here because these connectors are rotten. As you can see, take a look. And all of this is coming up here. I've already found the right connectors, so I'll just have to buy them. And I'll need to transfer all these wires and pins to another connector. This is actually the most common case in these tractors, that this part here just corrodes. And then there's no connection. And then the tractor starts acting up a bit here. There's a nice little window here. Here we can run wires through, for example. From machines through the floor. You unscrew it, cut it out, or adjust it to fit the wire. I run the navigation cable through this opening. You can nicely cut out as much of the metal plate as you need and fit it so there's not too big of a hole. That's what the whole installation looks like. Nothing complicated really. Everything is pretty simple. Now I'll clean it and just look at these wires. Their cross sections, the insulation, and how everything is still in such good condition. So all of this will still serve us well here. Furthermore, it is frequently observed in these specific situations that the pins at the relays have a strong tendency to become excessively overheated. For that exact reason, I have made the switch to using LED lamps now, primarily as a way to significantly lower the overall power consumption, and it works quite effectively. Here's the wiring harness and it's distributed. So there's nothing complicated here when it comes to the installation. It's relatively simple compared to those newer tractors. There's also a wiring harness here on the pillar. This goes to the cabin, to the fan, here to the vents, to the wipers. Everything is already routed to the speakers. Here's the cable for the heater, for the valve. Here's the installation. Now we'll clean everything, blow it out. I need to order those mats and then we'll stick them on. There's quite a bit of work here, but like I said, I'll take it easy and work on it in my spare time because I'm not in a hurry, since the tractor doesn't need to be ready for spring. Ready. It can sit a bit longer, but I already want to get it done, just to have it finished. Properly. Finished. Here, where there's rust, I'll clean it up a bit. Then we'll just protect it so it doesn't spread further, and we'll cover everything with that mat. Here I have this one part, the side panel. Here I have the remaining parts. Front, upholstery. Rear, right side panel. As you can see, here are the soundproofing materials. Everything is lying here. It's a bit cramped, so for now it's just lying here on the side. Here's the entire panel removed from under the headliner. Here are the upholstery pieces taken off the pillars. That's how it looks. This is, look, it's simply a plastic angle bar covered with leather. Now everything will have to be stripped off. It just peels away quite smoothly and effortlessly from the surface, just like this. You should thoroughly wipe down and clean every single part of the area before you securely mount the component back into its place using a strong piece of double-sided adhesive tape. Honestly, this is probably the simplest and most straightforward task you will have to do today. That is not a problem at all, because the shapes here are exceptionally well formed. When the shapes are smoothly curved and rounded, every single piece fits into place perfectly here. I'll fit it. All of this will need to be washed. I'll paint it, but I still don't know what color it will be. I'm still thinking about it, but I already have here. First, I'll take care of the soundproofing. And in the meantime, I'll order the materials for finishing up the interior. And here the Puma is standing. I've already ordered the parts. I think they should arrive in a few days. We'll keep working on this Puma here, and in the meantime, whenever there's a free moment, I'll work on that interior. As you can see here, the radiator has also been removed. There, the rollers and belts will be replaced. We'll get a few things done here so that everything makes sense and works properly. And here, look, the headliner has been removed. A small one. This is what the headliner looks like. We'll nicely wrap all of this later. And the tractor will look completely different inside. So I'll be recording the renovation of this tractor's interior. I don't know how long it will take me. I want to do it as quickly as possible, but it's just something extra I do in my spare time, so it might take a while. But you can expect that videos about this will also be shown. So that's all for today. In today's episode, I took apart the interior. Yes, so in my spare time, just check out my next videos. Thanks everyone, bye.